What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video, reacting to This Helix, Not a Helix, by Bass the World. So what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be reacting to This Helix, Not a Helix, by Bass the World. As always, if you've not already subbed to Bass the World, go ahead and give them a sub. I've included the link to the original video in the description. Please go ahead and click on that and give the original video a like. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me react to next, and let's get to it.
One. This time it's not a full modular, but 250 effects from the library packed into one compact pedal, some with real astonishing capabilities. Let's check it out.
Oh, nice. It's really hard to do. I don't know how the weatherman used to always do it. You're just, you got to make sure you're accurately pointing to it. There we go. Diana Drive. Because I was about to say, the riff that he's playing, as well as the tone, sounds almost exactly like Hysteria from Muse. That level of just a good, distorted bass tone. I like. Thus far, I like. Look at that bass face. That's some serious bass face going on there, brother. That is some serious bass stank face, man. He be grooving. Gotta have a good bass face. And as well, look at that. I don't think that that's a relict jazz bass. I don't think. I'm not sure. But that's a nice looking old jazz bass. It might be, a reissue or something that's not even a Fender, and if so, might actually be relic. I'm not sure, but that's some good stank bass tone. That's a good groove, and that is some good bass stank face for sure. For sure.
Hi you lovely people, welcome to Bass the World. My name is Gregor Fries, and on bass we have my buddy Frank in today, chasing the HX1 through the streets like a wild boar. Considering what the Helix platform offers, this was, at least to me, an unexpected release. It's a multi-effects pedal with all the sounds you could possibly need to spice up your bass. For this video we've selected some of our favorite presets, but of course you can also create your own sounds from the massive library this pedal offers. But, and this is very important, only one at a time. Here's their mutant filter sound, which is of course based on this legendary.
Hence the name, the HX1. Okay. So it has the entire effects library, basically, but you can only use one effect at a time. Yeah, it's kind of like a slightly more limited version of the Zoom MultiStomps, because the Zoom MultiStomps, whether it be the bass one or the various ones they have for guitars, it has one button on it, but you can assign different patches and cycle through them with more than one effect on at a time, and it does amp modeling. But okay, I get what they're going with here. The HX1, one effect on at a time.
Pedal.
Oh, nice. That's a good natural sounding envelope filter for a bass.
Now let's dive into the pedal. The HX1 is a stereo pedal, so you get two in and outputs.
For me, these days, having stereo in and out is becoming a big thing, especially for bass gear, because I have finally made the plunge and gotten into the Rico sound. I modified a Harley Benton. copy of a Rickenbacker with all Rickenbacker electronics and even the Rico sound. So it's nice to know that if I am using something like this for that, I could run it stereo. I technically do it bi-amped, but whatever, stereo, bi-amp, stereo, splitting pickups and all that. So it's nice to know that, yeah, for a tiny little package, it is just a little time, but it's probably got an extension out and a MIDI in out. But the main thing is stereo in and stereo out. A lot of multi-effects units have a stereo out, but they're all based on a mono input. So for me in particular, playing, a modified sort of Rickenbacker bass and another bass that I'm having built that has Rico sound stereo wiring as well too, this is something that actually interests me personally based on that and my needs. Depending on what you need, your mileage may vary like anything else.
Of course, you don't have to use it like that. Mono is just as fine. In addition, we also have an expression pedal input that allows you to connect up to two switches to move through the presets, or an expression pedal to change one or multiple effects parameters, or both. On the back is a USB-C port to load software updates, and on the left you can find MIDI in and out.
Something else that you can do when you have a MIDI in and out, and I don't know how many assigns or parameters or what have you the HX1 would allow you to use, but if you were to run a MIDI pedal to it, like the MIDI pedal that I'm using with my loop station, it's the Milo Audio MIDI Commander. I'm looking right down here because it's literally right down by my feet. Yeah, the Milo Audio MIDI Commander. It actually has two inputs in it for expression pedals. So you could technically use that other output that's supposed to be a TRS output for like a dual foot switch to give you two extra buttons. And then, I'm assuming, you could definitely have the I.O. for it. I don't know if it will limit you to that. But then have your MIDI foot switch, a generic 10-button one that allows for a couple of expression pedal inputs onto there, and really expand the hell out of this. Like I say, it all depends on the limitation of that. I just know that with my MIDI controller, yeah, I'm already utilizing up on my Boss loop station the two outputs for either expression pedal or extension pedals into those extension pedals. And then I use the MIDI foot switch and I use one expression pedal on there. I could put in a second one if I wanted to, but that's just a little too much tap dancing for me. But yeah, it looks very expandable. With something like this and anything that you're going to be putting into your rig these days, I.O. is a big thing. Obviously, it doesn't have an effects loop because it's pretty much just effects, no amp modeling or anything like that. So this is something you would put into the effects loop of whatever multi-effects unit amp modeler that you would have and or your actual physical rig.
To get even easier access to all sounds and parameters. The effects in here sound stunning, especially the octavos that track lower than anything else I've ever tried. Let's hear their pitch ring mod and pay attention to the low B at the end.
Tape wound strings, fretless 6-string bass, nice. This dude's a serious player, man. What a badass. Awesome bass face too. Whoa.
And now let's talk about the control.
You ain't kidding. That tracked surprisingly well on the low B. I'd like to try it as more of a just low octave without the ring mod kind of sound myself. But yeah, I like a good low octave, but we all know as bass players, once you get lower than that, D, like your open D string or, 5th fret of your A string, once you get lower than that, it doesn't track that well with most of them. You have to keep up in the higher register, and it just doesn't. And a lot of the octaves that I've tried, even in the multi-effects unit, that you use an octave above on the bass, there's still something about it that sounds kind of artificial and cheesy. But the tracking on that, like I'd like to hear how just the low octave is without the ring mod, if they have something like that. But, and if that's all it was just with the ring mod, I'd use that because that low octave was freaking fantastic. That was quite incredible. He wasn't kidding.
Controls. We have two foot switches. The left one is your standard on-off. The right one can do different things. For delays, LFOs, modulation effects and these sort of things, it can be used as a tap tempo. But it also has a secondary function called flux, which is just as cool. Flux allows you to have 2 different sets of parameters for each effect and lets you switch back and forth between them. Like a low gain and a high gain drive, and it doesn't only switch instantly, you can also set up a transition time of up to 8 seconds to create some real dramatic effects. On top we have a crisp OLED display guiding you through effects, categories, presets and parameters. The 3 controls underneath are digital potentiometers, but when you push them like a button they also do stuff, giving you a maximum control with minimum controls. The system is super intuitive and easy to understand. You get these cheat sheets if you ever need some help learning all these functions, but when you've used it once you will never need it again. The 2 buttons.
I would imagine that there's some sort of software editor for it too. He said the USB-C output is for loading updates to it and all that, but I just imagine there's, and if there's not, just like the Pod Go at first, when I did a reaction video to I think it was Nate Navarro doing bass stuff on the Pod Go bass, saying it, okay, you don't really have a lot of functionality on it. It seems to be just like a little in between each setting, and that's it. And it's kind of ambiguous to what the settings are. They should probably have a software editor. They ended up coming out with a software editor. So if they don't have a software editor for this, they probably will quite soon, is my guess. Because that's just how I prefer to do my editing. Like, it's always so much more intuitive and easier, and it shows you where everything is a lot more wide and a lot more openly, especially if you're doing what I'm doing and doing YouTube videos. It's a lot easier just to do the screen recording and show the software interface. It shows a lot more as opposed to zooming in on a little tiny pedal face. Yes, everything that you do in the software editor, you can do on the pedal itself in almost every case, but I just find it that much easier. I love the software editor interface. And then, yes, if you're out at gigs, you make the tiny little tweaks as you go, but completely dialing in a bunch of different sounds and patches from scratch, yeah, I like having me a software editor for that.
Buttons and the control underneath help you to scroll through different effects and presets, and the home button in the middle is always there to bring you back to the main user surface and doubles up as a save button once you've created your own sounds. This is my old MXR script logo Phase 90, and here's the same effect with some drive coming out of the HX1. As mentioned earlier, this is not a typical HELIX modular pedal, so there are no amp and cabinet simulations in here. But it has the next best thing, a sense amp bass driver DI, a 0 amp bass DI.
Yeah, that sounds very Sans ampy. It's funny, because I can't actually say that that's this sound or that's this sound, but it's pretty obvious sometimes, and with some, modelers and whatnot, they'll actually say in the description of the online manual, based off of the Sans amp, based off of a Ampeg SVT, based off of a Mesa Boogie 400, but they can't actually put it in there, but they can say based off of it, not just because of bass, but, based off of it. Yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah, that sounds very Sans ampy to me.
These were all typical sounds, the stuff you might already have on your pedal board. But with 250 effects, it also has everything else. Like this oscillator synth.
I love a good synth sound.
This is cool. I like it especially because it's not a full HELIX system, but only the effects. It's not as complex, but it also means you can't get lost in the menu. It's much more a plug-and-play type of thing. Don't get me wrong, the HELIX is amazing, but I really appreciate this for its simplicity. If you want to get one for yourself, please use the links in our video description for your order. It doesn't change a thing for you, but these dealers will pay us a little kickback, which really helps to keep this channel running. The HX1, yeah, I kind of want one now. Damn, a great job, Line 6. Very well done. Here's a video of the Line 6 DL4, here's a merch shop, and here's me saying, "Ei, Frau Bübsch, das ist ja mal ein Pedal for the Götter." Based
All right, that was reacting to this HELIX, not a HELIX, by Bass the World. As always, if you've not already subscribed to Bass the World, go ahead and give them a sub, please. I've also included the link to the original video in the description below. Please click on that and give the original video a like as well. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me reacting to next. Thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, and share. It doesn't cost a thing and would really help out the channel. Also, please subscribe to my other channel, GK Mac Music, for some live looping live streams with a side of jackassery, some original music, and some short content, also with a side of jackassery. If you'd like to help out the channel financially, you can buy some merch at the merch store, or you can become a channel member. As always, everyone, thanks so much for your continued support. Do what makes you happy.